here? Where do they go from such a disappointing performance? I'm pretty sure they're very, very disappointed with how they played this match. Where do they go from here?
I mean, I told you, the problem is, NiP have lost on Inferno. They've never lost ever to Universal Soldiers. So for Universal Soldiers, it's like, okay, well, that was our old team. You know, we stuck with it too long. Get some new blood in here. And you think, oh, we have a nice result over here. We have a nice result over here. Coming into the top dogs, completely smacked down again. So either you're just going back to the drawing board and you're like, right, figure out a new way to make this team work, or do you make another roster move? What do you do here? Do you never play Inferno against them again? See, it's hard to weigh up the factors here. You don't know what to do. And again, when a team's that superlative, sometimes you can't figure it out. It's out of your hands, you know.
And iBuyPower is going home, and IP is moving forward. That means that we have one more berth in the playoffs, and we're going to change focus now to focus on that match. It's going to be Universal Soldiers against Recursive of France. And we just got some map notes here. Duncan, if you can take us through that. And it looks, at least from Universal Soldiers' perspective, coming out of this match, to be another uphill venture.
Well, the funny thing is, I've said they can be very good on Inferno, but they're going to play Inferno again now versus Recursive. But remember, Recursive just showed a much better performance against NiP on the same map than Universal Soldiers did. So yeah, funnily enough, I would have given I would still pick Universal Soldiers to win, because I think they're the better team. But just weighing up the two performances today versus the one common denominator, NiP, I have to say Recursive were way better.
Scoots, with your background as a manager, how would you talk to Universal Soldiers if they were your team after this match, and you only have 5-10 minutes before you have to go into a deciding match, which will either cement you still have a chance for $100,000 on Saturday, or you're going back home empty-handed after basically a couple of hours at the biggest event in history?
I think it's fairly simple. You gotta nip the negativity in the butt really quick. Talk about where you went wrong. That's fixable. If it's high-level shit, nothing you can do in a day or two. So they have to get that out of their mind, figure out how to win on Inferno against Recursive, and prepare for this game, because like you said, they lose this one, they go home. So it doesn't matter what just happened in that context. And again, these guys are seasoned pros. Like, if I was their manager, I probably wouldn't have to even say that to a guy like Neo. Like, he knows, like, get over it, get reset, win out, and so we can keep the tournament going.
Yeah, let's take a look at the players.
Okay, so actually, let's talk about them in terms of the games we've seen today, okay? We felt like it has to be these two playing really, really well. So far, Neo, iffy. I haven't really seen any real magic from him. Every now and then he puts something together. Taz is overall, he's been solid, but even he hasn't been up to the level I thought. I thought he would still be a star carrying them. Pasha, I thought, has been one of the better prospects. Bayali, I'm still a bit unsure about that, but then again, I also wonder, it's hard for the newer guys to play well when the stars themselves are failing. It's not like they're going to carry the whole game themselves. Snacks has been decent, I think, so we've seen this team quite a lot today, and I guess we're going to look at the other team. Okay,
there we go.
We Got Game, Recursive here. So all these four members were all in the We Got Game lineup who played all these past matchups. I told you they took maps off Berry Games at EPS France. They even lost a very close map there, so they were very close domestically. This is the new player, the Swiss player, replacing Lipton, I think it was. Okay, so let's think about these. The absolute star player here, Kenny S. He used to be in Very Games, used to be a very good player, one of the best players in the beginning of CSGO, but famously, the reason he's not in Very Games anymore was Very Games was having a hard time. They were a very good team, but their stars didn't shine. He was the main star, and they couldn't get him to be that star role. Somehow, within their really tight tactical system, it didn't work to sort of tell him where to go. Whereas when he's gone to other teams, he went to LDLC afterwards. Now he's in this team. He has the freedom to do what he wants. And you know, really great players, you don't micromanage them necessarily. They have a bit of a longer leash, and they can do a bit of whatever they want, and you just follow them. So he's definitely the powerhouse here. A lot of the others are more closer to the utility players, or they're unproven potential stars. And so a lot of them not so well known, but they've had the results over the last few months, like a couple of maps here and there where they're close. And so I think skill-wise, it's going to be a pretty close matchup, because Universal Soldiers haven't really shown us a lot here, and then they've been decent so far, I think.
Scoots, how are we doing for predictions? What's the score up to between the two of you now?
It's getting close. We both picked NiP on that, so we both got one. I'm 3-2, and he's 2-3, so we are neck and neck.
You're neck and neck. You wanna start us off on this one?
I'm gonna pull for for the polls, so I'm going to go with U.S. for sure.
You're going to go
Yep.
with US.
What
What about you?
Shake it off.
I mean, here's the thing. Whenever you're watching things, it's very easy to be linear and think, okay, I just saw the polls get owned. Last time I remember Recursive did quite well. It must be like that. But I remember the polls owning iBuy Power and totally dominating them and everything looking great. So I'm still going to go with the polls. I think this is a good map for them. They win this map. I think Recursive did great in one game. Remember that they almost got stomped in. I think this time they lose. It's going to be like a mildly comfortable win for the polls.
Yeah, would you care to quantify that with a percentage?
Sure, I'll go for, I think the polls are like a 70-30 favorite here. So pretty solid.
Oh, that's pretty solid. You got confidence in Neo still.
I think they're going to pull it out
I don't
against
have
the lesser
any
competition.
quantifiable data or stats I can crunch to come up with a percentage.
Just old man intuition.
Yeah, I just think they're going to win.
Thorin, what do you think about Kenny S in this match? Is he vital to Recursive's chances,
Yeah.
or are they good enough to sort of get this victory without him topping off everything?
That's the thing. People are going to think this is rude, but when I think about CSGO, it's a game of stars. In other games, you could counteract stars with amazing team play, amazing strategies. I think in CSGO, you can do that to some degree. You need at least one star, though. You must have a star. That's why I always stress it. The best teams have 2 or more stars. They have 2 stars and then a guy who can also become a star in a day. If you only have one superstar, and this is a lower level team that just happened to have a star who's free agent and he plays for them, your star has to come through.
Yep.
He's your thoroughbred. You have to go, and then everyone else follows him. If everyone else does awesome and he does badly, I think they lose.
Yep, makes sense.
Scoots, what do you think about the star aspect of Counter-Strike Go as opposed to a more team play-oriented 1.6 game?
I mean, I think it's valid. I think this game is definitely has a lot more of that individual, like win or lose kind of mentality on a round than strictly team play. Again, I think in the olden days you could get away with just precise flashes and smokes and like executing a perfect strat and maybe not having the best aim or the best in-game sense. But now, I think it's a little bit the opposite way. I think that the gun rules the day, especially, you know, you've got this peeker advantage where the movement's slightly different. So CTs can't just camp a spot and be the first in because you're going to die. And that leads to that individual fragger. Like you said, stars and multiple stars, forget about it.
Thorin, do you think this will change ever? I mean, Counter-Strike Global Offensive is a fairly new game, and what we saw throughout all the years of Counter-Strike 1.6, it was that during the competitions, the game would continually evolve.
Yeah.
There were the early stars like Heaton and Potty, and they would just demolish everyone else because their skill set was that much higher, and then they got everybody else caught up, and we went into a more team play-oriented period. Whereas at the end again, there was more like it felt more like a free fragging. The best teams were running around, shooting each other, and back to the star thing. Do you think Counter-Strike Go will evolve into more of a team play-based game, or do you think the star aspect is here to stay?
I think the key thing about 1.6 is it wasn't that it favored one or the other. It was kind of, if you imagine the way you play the game as an undiscovered country, everyone initially, the best teams had all mined the superstar, make the dream team lineup. And because that worked, people followed their path. But then eventually they got caught when people discovered, oh, there's other areas I can carve out here. Team play, or maybe I mix it up, or maybe I go extreme. Maybe I don't have any superstars, but I have the best tactics, and everything's a counter strat and an anti-strat. I don't think it's that there's not room for these extra areas in CSGO. I think it's actually, Scott make an excellent point there. The one thing that would have to change to allow it more is to take away some of the peekers' advantage. Here's a key principle of 1.6, okay? There was a defender's advantage.
Yep.
So listen, if we're equal, and I constantly take a better position than you, and I can wait for you to come out, then I'm going to have the positional advantage where I already have my shot lined up. You have to look and find me and then shoot me. So if we're equal, you can see how I have the advantage there. Now listen, if you're much more skilled than me, this is how it balances out. Then you can make up for that because maybe you're faster, maybe your aim's better, and even me shooting just a straight shot won't beat you doing that. Now in CSGO, it's a lot more like as you come out, it's almost like the defender is actually at the disadvantage because you come out so fast, it's so hard to headshot you like that. The movement is so different, and so at the moment, it means that it actually favors the very aggressive pushing players who are very skilled, and they kind of like throw caution to the wind. So maybe if you could either design maps or you could change the peekers advantage a little bit, bring it back a little bit, it would allow some of those more utility players to do. Because you just look at some of the great teams, and some of the utility players are the ones who faded, unfortunately, the legends.
Scoots, I want to explore this a little bit more with you because you've followed the games for a long time. How do you feel that Valve's support is backing Counter-Strike Go in this regard, that the game is patched, it's updated, and we're moving towards a more smoother game?
I mean, again, I think it's amazing. I think it's safe to say that for the duration of the first version of Counter-Strike, you know, for a good chunk of the lifespan of Counter-Strike, it was a Half-Life mod. They had nothing to do with it, literally nothing to do with it. And eventually they did take control of it, and they had a few patches here and there. But even back in the day, the community was fixing flash bugs and all those kind of things and making rules around the bugs to make it, you know, competitively viable. You know, you've been a witness to the nuke ramp flash bugs. So to see a developer like, and again, let me backtrack. I think they dumped Source on us. They didn't care about it for a little while. Then they slowly started patching that and making it a more solid version of Counter-Strike. But I think this version, like, and I was talking to Mark from Valve, like, they have embraced Counter-Strike as a Valve game now. Not a mod off a Half-Life, not a, okay, we'll make Source. Like, they're embracing it like they're embracing Dota and all their other main titles, which, you know, we start seeing a better spectator tool than we've ever seen. We see the tournament drops. We see, you know, tournament systems in play. So, like, to have the full love and support of Valve, for lack of a better word, behind your game, we're now in the land of, like, developer support with what Riot does and what Blizzard is now doing. So to see Valve step up, and we've seen them doing it with Dota for a while, right? Dota 2, so to speak. I'm a pig in shit. They care about our game. They really care. And every patch now is not breaking things. It's fixing things or adding things. And that, you know, first go patches, they'd break one thing and fix 3 things. And now we're getting on as more of a much more positive fix thing and an additive thing. And they're not done. Like, some of the stuff they're going to bring us, like, they're going to, like, this is going to be a living game for them, much like Dota. And again, it's not going to drastically change. We're not going to see health packs and ammo packs and all this crap in there. But they, again, for lack of a better word, they really care about the game.
In a history aspect as well, we're in a tournament with a $250,000 purse, and in part, it's community funded.
Huge part community funded.
Huge part. Talk to me a little bit about that. How does that work, and what's the significance of that compared to how the community worked in 1.6? I was a 1.6er. I remember a lot of complaining about everything except the kitchen sink.
Yep.
And we never really got anything done because we were always sitting around complaining about every other thing.
Yeah, I think it's great. And again, they're following their own footsteps with Dota 2 and compendiums and fan interaction where you can pay some money, get extra content, and that supports the teams. You can buy banners, all this stuff in Dota. They're definitely warping those ideas to fit this game. And again, it's amazing. I wouldn't have necessarily thought that the fan base of this game would buy so many esports keys.
Are you surprised at that at all?
I am pleasantly surprised because, again, we're one of the more jaded, cynical communities out there, regardless of what version of Counter-Strike you like. So, but again, I guess if it works for all these other games and the fans are willing to do this, why wouldn't it work for this game, right? It's kind of a new breed of gamer. We are kind of old in comparison. So, again, I think it's great to see. And they're not done. Like, you know, you can buy a key right now, and it'll support their next big major. And again, talking to Mark and all those guys, that stuff's not going to stop. Like, well, I think one of the neatest ideas as an ex-team guy would be if I could buy a NIP jersey and a chunk of that jersey. And again, I love the idea that this stuff is all cosmetic. Doesn't affect gameplay whatsoever. But if I could buy a NIP jersey or a NIP banner or something weird that shows up and money goes to NIP, or goes to iBuyPower or whoever, that is great. Because another revenue stream for the teams, obviously another revenue stream for the tournaments when they get a cut of it. Nothing but good. Nothing but good.
All right, Thorin, talk to me a little bit about majors, the concept of a major, and why is it so important that we finally establish a major or major series in Counter-Strike Go?
Well, remember the analogy I gave you when I was describing the history between the Poles, the Great Poles, and the Great Swedes. It was that what separated them was these Poles won these huge major tournaments, which all the pressure, all the money, you must win this one tournament.
And all the attention.
Whereas you take some of that off and you say, okay, this is a tournament with some good teams, but, you know, maybe the name isn't as big. Maybe the trophy isn't so awesome. Maybe if you win that, you don't get called the best team of the year. Suddenly, the very, very good players but who don't have that drive or whatever, they can just win those in their sleep. They're so good. But there's a reason why in every sport they have majors, and only the greatest players in history win the most majors. You go into, like, golf, tennis, even team sports, etc., Stanley Cups, etc. There aren't people with like 7 Stanley Cup victories who are scrub utility players. These are all the greatest players of all time. Yep. And the reason why is because that's when everything matters. And there's a key thing, okay, the pressure that crushes a lesser man is the same pressure that makes the really great player play even better. because he knows this is the moment. He's in the moment, and he just goes completely nuts. And that's the reason why I always used to say we have to define majors, because in the past, even when people would argue, let's say my team did win a tournament like a Game Goon, okay, the field might have been as good as a CPL, okay, and I might say, well, it's as good as a CPL. But since we all know deep down it isn't, we wouldn't have peaked our practice to be the best at the Game Goon. That might have been my warm-up for the big CPL, where I'd really prove I was the best afterwards. If you won the big CPL, there was no one going, yeah, but I won Game Goon. You know what I mean? Deep down, everyone knew which tournaments we want to win, which tournaments matter the most, which you have to practice for and you have to go to the top, and which ones will define your career.
Yep.
That's why the people who won a lot of those tournaments and then didn't ever win that big one, like I'll give you an example, Valle, this Swedish player, was in 5 major finals. He never won one. I don't think he stays up at night going, well, you know what, I never won the major, but I won a lot of medium-sized tournaments, man,
Yep.
I'm the best. He's haunted by those times. I had my 5 chances to do it, and I couldn't.
Yep.
So everyone really knows that it matters. We just have to make sure that the tournament organizers know we have these majors per year, I think.
Yeah, and the ones who win this tournament is going to be remembered by all the fans for winning the historic DreamHack winner 2013 tournament and getting that check for $100,000.
Talking at the moment because they're the 2 favorites, as though like it's going to be very games, so it's going to be Nip. What will it mean for them? Think of this. They've both won a lot. They've both made a lot of money. Nip might have made over, I think, 150,000 or something ridiculous. Won all these small tournaments. But I tell you what, if Astana Dragons win this tournament,
Oh, yeah.
that's it.
Yep.
Suddenly they're the number one, and everyone's going to be thinking about that.
Yep.
And suddenly Nip can't go, yeah, you guys aren't that good though, because we won the 15 other ones. They're going to be like, we won the one that matters.
Yep.
Exactly. And Scoots, you've been also around a lot of top players. In your experience, talk to me a little bit about how they handle pressure, because you've been standing there behind them, some of the top American players of all time. How do you handle pressure when you have to perform on a big stage like this?
I think they all handle it differently, and I think age has a lot to do with it. Like the teams that I managed, obviously the EG teams had some North American veterans, but like Jordan was a brand new little kid, right? But the kid was phenomenal. Like, water off his back, pressure didn't bother him. I think he's having a harder time now than he did back in the day, right? He was more in the zone there. But these guys are like legends, so like they're used to pressure. I think when you get to like the NIP level, like yeah, the money's cool and all, but they got salaries, they got security, they got a home. It's winning the major. It's we are the #1 team on the planet. Yeah, the paycheck's nice. Whereas Astana Dragons wins it, that money is going to be far more important to them at this stage of their career, because with the major comes the money. Once you already have the money, you want the trophies. You want the trophies.
Bringing this back to our current match, which is Universal Soldiers against Recursive. Obviously, we've talked about in length about how many big majors some of the Universal Soldiers players have won. How do you think this figures into this match? Because this is a match where they're facing Recursive, which is basically players who are not as known, but they still have to beat them to be able to chase that dream into the round of 8 later tonight. How do you think that fits into their heads right now?
I think it helps the Universal Soldiers guys, because first of all, whereas some of the Recursive guys might think, oh, if we lose this, we're out. The other ones are thinking, we've only got one chance to win the 100 grand, and that's to win this match. That's like forget everything else, step 1, do that. And here's the thing we forget about as well. The person who wins this match gets to play against Fnatic in the round of 8, okay. Fnatic, for someone like Universal Soldiers, okay, NIP's ahead of them at the moment. Maybe Very Games are a bit out of reach. They're not at that level yet. Fnatic's in their wheelhouse. So if they can get a match against Fnatic in the round of 8, listen, they might get in the round of 4. And as soon as you get in the round of 4, that's $25,000.
Yeah.
That used to be what first place was if you won a major in Counter-Strike 1.6.
Yep.
So you'd have to go through everyone, be the most legendary run, and you get the 25 grand. You get that just if you win the next match in the round of 8. So what more motivation could you need?
Can you break down the prize purse for us again, Scoots?
Let me grab my notes.
Oh,
You didn't tell me I was
yes.
going to do that. So obviously, first place, 100 grand. Piece of cake there. Second place, 50 grand. Third place and fourth place, 22 grand each. Then 5 through 8th place is going to get 10 grand each. And then 9 to 16, 2 grand. So everyone takes home a little bit of money. Even the 2 BYOC teams that come out just getting into this tournament, they get some money. I'm going to challenge, not necessarily challenge what you said, but
Okay.
I think Recursive's got nothing to lose. And Neo's crew's got everything to lose, right? They should win this. They should move forward. So hopefully Recursive doesn't take it as a nervous, stressful thing, but like, hey guys, Let's have fun. Let's play our game. We got nothing to lose. We can beat them. You know, and if you take it in that, if you get yourself all like, oh, that's not going to help you. So hopefully their nerves work in their favor in the sense of like, well, you know, if we beat them, great. If we lose, we're supposed to lose. And, you know, conversely, they could be scared shitless. You're like, you know, if they're fanboys of these legends like we are, I would be quaking, so to speak, in my boots. Like, I don't want to be across from those guys, you know? But again, it's also that time to shine. So it depends on the player and their mentality and their coach and their captain. You know, that's their job to say, hey, guys, you got nothing to lose, but you beat these guys, boom, you're at the top of the list here. So we'll see.
Thorin, do we know anything at all about how good Recursive are on Inferno?
Like I said, it was one of their better maps. Like I actually had some details down here somewhere. Let me just go to them. Okay. So yeah, Inferno was the map I've mentioned before, where Very Games, who were very good at Inferno, by the way, they played them 14-16, a narrow loss at the EPS swing. So it was a domestic matchup again, but they still took it to them. Okay. Now the thing with this team is, in fact, I'll give you another example. Kenny S was at. Here's a funny fact because the team's playing. So there was this mixed team, Nostalgia, that was 2 Poles, Neo and Taz. 2 Frenchmen, Kenny S, and another player, Apex, who was in Clan Mystic. And then a Russian who hadn't even played much CSGO, this guy called Overdrive. And he had the money, and he made a mixed team, and they went to a tournament, and they beat Na'Vi there. And the way they beat them, one of the maps was on Inferno. And this mixed team, had never played Inferno. And since they spoke 3 different languages, and they didn't speak Polish, the other one didn't speak French, and the other one didn't speak Russian, they just said, here's what we'll do, okay? Neo and Taz, you've played together. You go that way each time. We're French. We'll go this way each time. And then the Russian guy, you do whatever. We're the star players. And they won the game doing this because their intuitive play was so good. So 3 of those star players obviously love this map. They can do what they want on it, you know, when they have the freedom. So they've got a lot of firepower there. I think the thing with this team as well is, maybe Scoots has a point there, because there's another way you could also think of it, which is like this. Neo and Taz are legends, okay? Even if they're not as good at this game now, the prestige still carries through. Well, I know in sports, one of the cool things is when you get the old dog who's won like 6 championships, but he's on his way down now. Those young bucks who've got all the athleticism, they just came out and they want to prove something. The way you prove it is you like kill the old guy. Even if he's not in his prime anymore, you get his scalp, and then that adds to your legend as you're taking away from his, you know. So this is a chance, even if you just win this one match, to get a little bit of shot. Yeah, but remember that time I beat Noah and Taz and I knocked them out of the tournament? That alone's a prize for a new player.
I mean, they got to start strong. They got to get some rounds early, you know, or like if the worm turns on them, that's the kind of thing where the experience will probably build on Universal's favor.
You think the first pistol round is crucial in this match, or not as important?
I think in best of ones, like every pistol round is important. I don't think it's as important as it used to be, you know, because you used to lose the pistol and you lost next 2, 3, no matter what. But, you know, people are doing these crazy second buys, depending if you plant or not. But I think Recursive definitely has to win pistol rounds because gun rounds are going to be tough for them.
Thorin, can you talk a little bit about pistol rounds in Counter-Strike Global Offensive as opposed to pistol rounds in 1.6 that we've seen a million of, and also in Source? How are they different in Counter-Strike Global Offensive?
Well, a couple of factors that definitely are divergent. First of all, one of the main things people always complained about was that in CS 1.6, the starting weapon for the terrorists, the Glock, was very weak. And so as a result, there'd be a lot of teams who their actual buy on the terrorist side was to buy the CT pistol, the USP, and just that would be it. Whereas the same counter-terrorist, he could have the USP that he started with and then buy armor, no head armor. Yeah. So you can see why it was making certain things CT-sided there. It's the opposite in CSGO. The Glock is very strong. We've even had this strategy called the Glock train where you just rush 5 people in the one spot, and as long as you're all firing, it just destroys you. Part of it's like when you hit them, it like throws your aim up a bit. And so the pistols are very different here. Yep. They're still crucial, but actually in this particular match, believe it or not, it's really crucial for the French team. And one of the reasons why is famously throughout CS history, the Polish and Eastern European teams love to early buy. Like, what they'll even do, sometimes, say they only have money for 1 gun. They'll go, okay, well, Neo's our star. Give him the 1 gun. He goes first. He tries to kill 1 or 2 people. We pick up their guns.
Gladiator
that
mode.
sounds like a crazy way to strategize, but that's really how these guys think.
It sounds like a desperate way to strategize.
Well, a lot of the Scandinavian teams would take the safe route. They'd go, okay, we all save until we've all got enough money, then we all go together and we get our best chance. No, these guys want to win now. You know, they're willing to gamble with you in that sense. Yep. And so that actually means if you don't win the pistol, no, even if you do win the pistol, even then you're not guaranteed. They might take that next round straight back from you, so it's a must to get that pistol.
Yep.
And what's up with the duels? we saw GetRight
Yeah.
get four frags with the dual Berettas in Counter-Strike 1.6. It was a comedy gun. You played it on comedy maps just for fun when you were at the BYOCs like this one. 10,000 kids here, by the way, with their computers at DreamHack Winter. Huge BYOC. But when back in the day, back in the old days, the very old days, when I used to BYOC, we'd late into the night when we were done scrimming or practicing or whatever, we'd just play each other with like funny weapons, and dual Berettas were very much one of those weapons. And now the best players in the world use it. How is that possible?
Well, what happened essentially is, in the other version of the game, it wasn't balanced for esports play, okay? It was just a game, and it was made for publics. So in a public, in theory, if I've never seen a pro game, maybe I buy the dual Beretta. We've seen people running around with UMPs, which actually mathematically are a waste of money. You're better off even having a Deagle, it's a terrible gun. But people who don't know would buy them, okay? So in public, it wasn't a problem in 1.6. But in the pro game, everyone knew, okay, pound for pound, this gun's very good. That one's weak, never buy it. It's mathematically not worth it. Don't buy the UMP. Don't buy these certain semi-machine guns. Don't wait for the AK or just go to a pistol, okay? What Valve did, actually, and I don't necessarily agree with this philosophy entirely, but this was their philosophy. They decided we want all the guns to be viable if possible. And so they made it so that actually there's 3 or 4 pistols you can use. They all have a different way to use them, though. One's like better just if you only aim for the headshot. One's nice to spam like the USP. The Deagle, you have to get a headshot. The dual Berettas, you see, in Counter-Strike, they were a comedy weapon because not only did they cost a lot, they were actually really inaccurate. They used to just fire all over. It was like a John Woo movie,
Yeah.
Well, they actually are fairly accurate, as you saw when GetRight uses them.
If
He's
you can get your
headshotting all over
timing
the
down,
place.
like they're OP. I mean, they're deadly.
And also, I think it has a strategic dimension for the position that GetRight was using them in, because he was holding the back of bomb site B on Inferno, and that's a site where you usually get swarmed by a Glock train, if you will, coming in. And if you're with a USP or any other gun, you spam maybe 5, 6, 7 bullets. You're empty.
You can't get more
you're
kills.
dead.
Yeah, exactly.
And the duels give you a lot more bullets, and he really used them well. Okay, we're about ready to go over to our casters here for the final match in Group B. So far, NIP have progressed into the playoffs, while iBuyPower from America has to go home. And this match is Universal Soldiers versus Recursive of France. I'm now being told that we are not quite ready, so we're going to stay here in our studio for a little while longer while everything is set up.
Actually, what you were telling me there, I can expand that point a little bit, okay, which is that philosophy, if we want all the guns to be viable, it doesn't even just apply to pistols, even though you might only usually see that. It's spread all across the game. So, for example, on save rounds, sometimes people buy the shotgun. Again, you never buy this in CS 1.6. Go through all the guns. Okay, now go up to the snipers. The only sniper rifle we used was the AWP. If you bought a Scout, you better do something amazing with it, like Zonic in that WCG file, something crazy. Otherwise, it's a waste of money, and why did you do it, That was not even viable. In this game, you can even buy the auto sniper, which again, that was like a BM gun. That was like when you're winning. Now we'll win around with that's a viable gun. In fact, GetRight is one of the best players in the world with the auto sniper. He makes highlight clips. So all the guns, in theory, are viable in a sense. Now, we can argue about whether or not that hurts the metagame or whatever. That's not as pure as, like, I know he's going to have a Colt, I'm going to have an AK, so I'm going to play that way. It's a bit harder to know what he'll have until you hear them firing. There's pros and cons to it, but it's a different philosophy, and you see how it's permeated the whole game.
Yeah, and it adds strategic dimensions, like we talked about with GetRight at the back of that site with the duels, and also I saw on save rounds. Anyway, we have to go straight into the match. It's Universal Soldiers versus Recursive. Over to our excellent caster crew.
Cool.
Okay.
Yay.
Okay, I'm gonna go have a chat with them. We can't like dry talk for 45 minutes. And
Group B, and what we've seen so far here, Universal Soldiers, they played pretty well there against iBuyPower out of the gates. Also, of course, Recursive did the exact same thing. And here we are. We're going to see both of these teams facing off. Of course, Universal Soldiers coming from a pretty good deficit there, a pretty good defeat there against NIP. Now, they get the chance, and this is something I'm going to make a request here from here on out here from our admins, and I didn't think of it until, of course, we hopped into the game and everything, is that they've actually changed all of their names. Of course, luckily enough, we know that Taz uses the 742, and he's used that before, and at least it's a little bit legible to use there. But over on the other side, we have players' names like Uzi as well as GMX and 4314. And so I'm trying to figure out exactly who that could be based off of those numbers.
Well, GMX is actually right. Correct.